This video is part 12 in a series that provides an overview of the National Folklore Archive Initiative, or NFAI, and an introduction to the function and content of the Folklore Collections Database, the FCD. Video 12, Creating Object Records. Item. In the previous video, we discussed how to create object records for collections, series and subseries, and boxes and folders. In this video, we'll go over creating item records. At this point, you will have created a record for your repository and created records for all the entities, individuals, organizations, and meetings associated with the collection, and you will have created at least your collection level record. If your collection description includes series, or subseries, boxes, or folders, you should have created those records as well. To recap, object is the term used in FCD for the type of database records used to describe archival content. The 6 types of objects, collections, series, subseries, box, folder, and item, represent different levels and aspects of archival description. In this video, we will focus on creating item records. An item is a unit in an archival collection that corresponds directly to an individual physical or digital object, or to a conceptually linked group of physical or digital objects that form the content of the collection. Item records are descriptions of these tangible or digital things, and they are the bottom tier in the descriptive hierarchy in FCD. In the context of FCD, an item can be a singular unit, such as an audio cassette, a 35mm slide, a postcard, or it can be a linked unit of more than one conceptually bounded object, like a series of 35mm slides depicting a single event, or multiple audio cassettes that together are a document of an entire performance. These distinctions are left up to the repository. Every archival collection is made up of items, but that does not mean every repository describes their holdings down to the individual item level. If your repository's descriptive documents don't describe to the item level, don't worry about it. And even if they do, you only have to create item level records in FCD if you want to. You are not required to do so. Let's take a quick look at how items display in a collection record on the front end. Here on the top, all the normal collection level information. Down below that, in the Objects in this collection section, you can see on the right, in the Type field, Series and Item, and on the left, the titles of each item and series object. You'll note that the items are slightly indented under the series. This just provides a visual reference to the way series and items relate to each other. Next, we're going to go through the steps of creating a new item level record using the FCD cataloging interface. We're going to begin by creating an object record for an item. First, log into the cataloging interface using your username and password. The only type of object you can create from this screen is a collection. All other objects can only be created from inside a collection record. To get to the collection we want to use, we first have to find it. Our sample collection is the Albert Wilmarth collection, so I'm going to type Albert Wilmarth into the search box and hit enter. Now that we have the collection record open, we can get started on creating the sample item record. There's more than one way to do it, but I'm going to demonstrate the most straightforward way, using the Editing Collection box in the upper left of the screen. To add an item under the collection, you click Add a Item under this and click plus. Now we're in the Item Basic Info datasheet. You can see this screen looks like the series, subseries, box, and folder screens. First thing to note is the Location in Hierarchy box at the top of the screen, Albert Wilmarth Collection, and New Item. Local identifier, if there is one, add it here. I'll add AWCO2. repository. In this case, Miskatonic University Library Special Collections, which is an entity already. Title, what the item is called. We'll just say Field Journal, Fall, 1928. If there's a specific date range associated with the item, you could enter it here. Otherwise, just leave it blank. We'll enter 1928. Summary. A brief narrative summary of the who, what, where, and why of the item. In this case, I'm going to enter Journal of Albert Wilmarth's folklore collecting trip to Vermont in 1928. Creator and contributor. Since the item is linked to the collection, you don't need to enter a creator here. However, since items are independently discoverable in FCD, it doesn't hurt. Here I'll enter Albert Wilmarth and set the role to creator. Here's my favorite part, materials designation. So we're going to select text as the general materials designation, and then manuscript as the specific designation. Extent, we'll say it has 47 pages. Dimensions, if you wanted to enter them, you'd enter that here. Language, it's in English. Finally, access. Remember, this refers to the accessibility of this record via the database and not the collections material. And then hit save. You'll need to save each time you move from one data form to another. So that's the basics of creating an item-level record in FCD. If you want to enter data into other data screens, subject, notes, etc., you can, but you're not required to do so. The details of using those fields are covered in video number 9, Creating Collection Records. Since the record is directly associated with the collection, all the data entered into the collection screen also applies here. So let's take a look at this from the front end. Go to the public page, type in Albert Wilmarth. There we see the collection, the box, the folder, and the item. Here's the front end record for the item. You can see it's connected to the collection. Identifier, repository, all that's in there. Part of the collection itself. Cool. So that concludes our series on creating object records. Our next video, importing and exporting data.